Hello, everybody.
What?
Well,
Oh, we're here.
oh yeah, you didn't know that we were doing this. Hi, welcome.
I was so confused for a second.
It's probably because I counted down from 3, then 2 to 1. Didn't do anything weird. I just did it. I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't try to
yeah.
trip
And
you
then
up.
all of a sudden, I'm all like distracted.
Yeah, yeah. You're waiting for me to just, go to number 7 or something, and
Right.
yeah. And then because I did it normal, you're like, where am I right now? Things just got weird, even though they're
Yeah,
normal. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Hi, August. Hi, Mianglios. Hi, Baga. Hi, Saule. How are you guys
Welcome.
doing? Nice to see you all.
Yes.
Oh, hi, Nyansai.
Hi, Nyansai.
Hello. Nice to see
Say
you
hi
all.
to me. Say hi to me.
Hi to me.
Good job.
Thank you. Hey, Joe. See you. Hi, Ryan. Nice to see you too. Oh, thank you.
Pleased to see you. Uh,
Man, has anyone
August
ever?
has yet to see Mustache Ryan. You see
Yeah,
Mustache. Well, I mean, he's got a mustache right now.
yeah,
Are you saying just mustache?
yeah. Cover the rest of it. This is Mustache
What would I
Ryan
look like with just a
reporting in.
mustache? I'd look actually. I should try just a
Just
mustache
a
sometime.
mustache?
I'd probably look like Tom Selleck or
Oh
something
man,
like
I would
that.
hate just a mustache. No, thank you.
Nobody here
Not for
knows who
me.
Tom Selleck is.
If I had just a mustache, I'd probably look like Tom Selleck. I nobody knows who Tom Selleck is, including me. But man,
Hey, Lucent. Hope you
yeah.
have a great stream too.
I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do like this and just go straight down and shave everything else and be Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan is the greatest wrestler of all time.
Hulk Hogan is
Yeah, even though it's not
of
even a
all
true statement.
time.
I don't know anything about him really, other than he was a wrestler and he looked great. But
Oh,
it was the he was one of the most iconic
he was like,
wrestlers
"Ooh
of all
yeah,
time. There,
ooh yeah."
I used to have a Hulk Hogan stretch toy, and it was like made out of this weird elastic stuff, and like had weird jelly inside. Man, it was weird.
Oh,
And
yeah, all those wrestling
yeah,
figures they had, yeah.
yeah, and you could stretch them just like across the whole room, and then they would
Yes.
break, and you get this weird, gross stuff everywhere.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. See?
I was never allowed to have those guys,
Oh, yeah,
but my friends did, and my
mm,
cousins did, and like everybody else I knew did, like
yeah, yep. They were pretty weird.
uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were fun.
Yeah. Oh, hey, thank you. Thank you, Lucian. Nice to see you. Hope you have
Hmm.
having an awesome night or day. I don't know. Could be morning.
And yes,
Yeah. All right. Well, we don't have too many topics. We have
we've
one,
got
I see.
one, and yeah,
All right. Well, just one. And if you guys would like to submit any topics, if you have anything on your mind, please feel free to do so. We'd appreciate it. Then we have something more to talk about of some, and but we do have one. We have one. It's titled Rhythm. Um, but
I
yeah.
don't know if this is for anybody else, but YouTube is like buffering and choppy for
Oh,
me.
wow. It is very, very so on my end too. I'm
Are you
gonna,
seeing that?
mm-hmm. I'm gonna try to slow what's going down on my internet and see if it's any better.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask chat. Hey, chat, is YouTube terrible? A moment. Are we frozen? I I paused all the videos everywhere. Or just the audio is okay though. Okay, it keeps cutting out one. Wow. Hmm. I have a slideshow of a stream right currently. Oof.
Yes, that's what's happening for me too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait. And then it's buffering. Yeah, buffer, choppy, funny. Yeah.
Having a bit of a buffer, it's not too bad. Okay. Well, I apologize. I think this happened to a couple weeks ago. Trying to stream on Twitch, but it does happen on YouTube.
Weird.
Yeah. Very weird.
Weirdy.
Maybe we're using, what do you call that service? The one that the satellite space. It was Elon Musk.
Is that the internet you have out there?
Yeah. What's the Elon Musk internet called? Starlink. There we go.
I
Starlink.
don't know. Starlink. Okay.
We're using Starlink, and maybe there's just a weird. What happens from time?
Yeah. Well, we'll do our best, I guess.
Yeah.
And if audio's good, then that's good. I mean, people
Yeah.
are saying audio is good, but video is wank.
Yeah. Oh wow, interesting. Saleh says, but YouTube has been dying for me at around 8 p.m. each day, which is partially this show. Interesting. Okay. Thank you for that information, Saleh. I thought it was just me. Yeah, we've been having a similar issue. So, strange. Thank you.
It's funny watching I'm watching the stream on my computer, and we make some funny faces when we're saying words.
Yeah, we do. I bet, especially when you do. Yeah, it's frozen. I'm sure we look great. Yeah. Now, maybe I just need to be like a politician, smile the whole time. That way, I look good at every frame.
Yeah.
That's probably why they do it, because they know they're gonna get a picture taken of them, and if they're talking like a serious talk, and they're like, stern or whatever, they're gonna have some really goofy faces. So if you smile the whole time, at least everything looks like it was an intent. Yes. Okay, that's what I'll do. Do the whole show smiling.
Just smile.
Yeah.
Smile. Smile, you're on camera.
Yeah. For a long time here, we got 2 hours of smiling to happen. So good luck us and Howard Cheek.
Oh my gosh, your face is gonna hurt.
That would
so
hurt
bad.
Yeah.
Yep. It's gonna be great though. You're gonna be excited that your face hurts.
Yeah. I guess that's the thing. Like, politicians are really good at their cheek muscles. They've got abs on their cheek, like 6-pack,
6-pack cheeks.
Yeah, 6-pack cheeks.
I got that. I have 6-pack cheeks. That's why I grew this beard, because I developed the 6-pack cheeks, and I was embarrassed, and so I was like, so I decided what I wanted to do was grow this beard, and now nobody knows my 6-pack cheeks.
Wow.
I don't like showing off my 6-pack cheeks.
Yeah, fair enough.
Especially not my 6-pack butt cheeks.
Yeah, well, definitely not that. I don't know which one's worse though. Which one I would, Guess it depends on the crowd. It'd be a great compliment. It would be really interesting. It would just be like, man, that guy's cheeks are toned. His face cheeks are toned. I'm gonna smile a lot.
Yeah.
All right. Time for
Actually, it takes more muscles to frown.
What does it?
Yeah. That's what they say.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like 29 muscles to smile and 178 muscles to frown or something. I don't remember.
I'm using more muscles now.
Wow.
Actually, I'm kind of like Beaker now. Beaker looks like this.
Beaker. Yes. I feel like an old man.
You look like an old man.
I look like an old man that's trying to smoke a cigar. So I'm just stuck in the pose. This is what Don't Worry Wednesday has devolved into. It's us in front of the mirror.
Great.
Beautiful. All right, well, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and give our disclaimer and maybe hop into a topic.
We need that.
Yeah. All right. So welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday. This is the show where we talk about the topics, thoughts, and problems, whatever's going on in life that are on your mind, or that is on. We are not professional in any category of the psychology, psychiatry, or anything that. But we can do our best to give you our best to be a friend that walks alongside you on the journey of your life. Basically, just sharing information of things that we've encountered ourselves and giving you the best that we can get from it. Wisdom abounds everywhere. It's always we do our best to acquire that wisdom and share it with you. But as I said before, we are not a substitute for therapy, and anything we say is for entertainment value. So thank you for being here with us. And it's always really great to have you guys and to see what you guys have to share as well from your lives and from the lives around you. Because we also pick up a lot from the people that are around us. And we pick up wisdom, what they're going through. Really great.
Yes.
So, yeah. Thank you for being here, and we hope you have an awesome show tonight. We also hope that all of you are well and are having a new year. Is the 15th day for me, the 14th day for most of you. And it's not a very long time, but I hope every one of those days has been great. I hope the rest of the year. How has the new year been for everyone? Sounds like, to me, like the new year has been a lot of work for Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. That's okay.
That's good. I mean,
I'd rather be busy than bored.
Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. Been working a lot myself. Been good though. Progress here and stuff. Great.
Nice.
My wife and I are working well together with our projects and
good.
Yeah. So, thank you, Saule. Yes, if you'd like to submit a topic anonymously or whatever, you can go to don'tworrywednesday.com. Otherwise, you can just post it in the chat and we'll do our best to pick up on it. Hey, that's nice, Baga. Upgraded your graphics.
Yeah, that's good. Dusting a dusty PC with bronchitis would not recommend. No, I would not recommend that either.
Nope. I wouldn't recommend
It's amazing how much dust collects in your PC, though. Have you ever noticed that? Like when you take the thing and you go to like change something in there, and then you take the cover off and you look in there and you're just like, oh my gosh, like where did all this come from?
Yeah.
It's like I have all these fans blowing stuff all over the place in there. You'd think it'd blow it out.
Well, yeah.
I mean, some of the fans, suck air into the,
that's right.
PC, and then some of them blow air out, right? Because you want some good airflow in there. So it's like, man, but holy cow.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much dust still collects in there.
Every time I go to change the computer parts around or whatever, or have to build the PC, because basically like been taking it apart and putting it back together. But then 3 months later, we'll do the same thing, because when we're moving around, that's what we're doing. And even after 3 months, it's like it had been like 20 years inside the PC with dusted.
I know, right?
It's like everything's
crazy.
coated.
It's like what?
Yeah. Crazy. Amazing. It is a dust collector. It's my dust collector. There we go.
Perfect.
Yeah. Oh yeah, pretty busy. Big trip soon. Oh, awesome. Where are you going?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, where are you going? August, if you don't mind saying.
Okay, so man, that's awful.
I want to go on a big trip. Oh, I said that just as you typed that.
Yeah.
I want to go on a big trip soon.
Yeah. It'd be nice
I have this great plan to go to Germany.
Oh.
And visit, people over in Germany. And I've never been to Europe before, and it kind of scares me.
What part?
The only other countries I've been to, well, I've been to the United States.
Really? That was a pretty big place.
I've been there before. And that's pretty cool. I've been to Canada. Bless you. And Canada is basically like the US. Um, and I've been to Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
and Mexico is not very much like the US.
I've never been there.
Um, and I've been to Haiti, and that is nothing like the US.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, August is going to Japan.
Nice. Congratulations. That's awesome. You have so much fun.
I hear Japan is cool. I know you've been there, Ryan.
Yeah, I did get.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah. So what's scary about Europe and Germany?
What's scary about it? Oh, just I want to make sure I do everything right and, you know, not accidentally pack something wrong,
Hmm.
and have a problem at customs and, like I want to try and learn enough German to kind of get myself through stuff and I also I want to be able to drive when I'm there because I want to be able to say I drove on the Autobahn,
Oh, okay.
you know? So, but I gotta figure out there's a way to do that, and, like, you have to, like, get some kinda international driving permit thing or whatever, and then learn some of the laws about, I think they're pretty similar driving laws, and I'm pretty good at breaking them in the US,
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, you are too because you were a property inspector, and you just kinda get good at doing whatever, it's like
You have to do whatever. There's no other way around it, man. Laws
Right,
aren't
exactly,
designed
'cause
for the kind of travel we're doing.
Right, right. It's crazy, and I remember, like, um oh, my brain just farted. Sorry.
Ew. Smells like roses. Ugh, gross.
Yeah, but, like, um yeah, I don't know. But anyway, so going to Europe, it's just because I've never done it before, and, there's all those things to consider, and I gotta go through customs and declare different things, and I wanna make sure I don't declare the wrong thing because I have, like, vitamins and supplements and different stuff, and I gotta make like, I don't know, I just
Mm-hmm.
wanna make sure I do it right,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was really surprised when I came to Australia. Um, I didn't have to do anything. I just showed up and they're like, "Hey, you can drive." And I was like, "What? Are you sure?" And it's like, "Yeah."
They're like, "Yeah,
I was
you
like,
drive in the
"Okay."
US?"
Yeah, it's like, "Yeah, you have your US driver's license?" Yeah, okay, that's all you need. I'm just like really surprised because I'm like, your laws are different here. And I'm driving on
Mhm.
the opposite side of the road. I never had to take a test, I never had to even try. I just go ahead and do it. Okay. And then after staying for so many months, you actually have to then get Australian driver's license, which also requires no testing or anything. They just give it to you basically.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was really surprised. So I don't know. Yeah.
Baca says, "Is it weird to have never been on an airplane?" I don't think that's weird. I think there are a lot of people that, fit in that boat, and,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think
Um,
that's weird at all.
yeah.
I haven't been on a plane in over 20 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Not even to like a seminar or anything.
Nope, never took a plane. I've been to
Wow.
airport to pick you and your brother and your sister-in-law up,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been to airports to drop off because my wife and my kids would go to Arizona and visit family out
Mm-hmm.
there, and I'd stay back and work, and so I'd go to airports, but I haven't been on a plane in, like, like, I'm trying to think, since probably 2002,
Oh,
I think was the
wow.
last time I
That's
went on a
surprising.
plane.
Hmm. Okay. Wow. Well, airplane's nice. I do enjoy it. But
Mhm.
after flying from America to Australia and Australia to America, I've started to enjoy it less. Um,
Oh, plane rides?
Yeah, because when you're, I mean, being,
Well, to Australia, that's brutal though, man.
yeah,
That's
it is.
so
It is.
long.
It's the longest trip you can take. Basically, it's shorter to go to uh, uh, the North Pole. You know,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
unless you're on the South Pole, then it's that same distance. It is.
Yeah.
It when you're when you wake up in the morning and you go to the airport and you do your stuff, you go take a plane, you land, then you take another plane, then you go for like 16 hours in the air, and then you land, and then you have to wait for a bus to get you to your next spot so you can go home. Maybe you're taking up like a train to go home, whatever. Like, it's a 30-hour plus ordeal, and
Mm.
and you don't sleep well, if any, on the plane. And so yeah, after that experience a couple of times, I'm just like, I still like the airport, but I don't really want to go anymore. You know, it's not like exciting anymore. It's just like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, here we are again. Are you ready
Yep.
to
Got to ride
suffer?
on the
Yeah. All right, here we
plane.
go.
I'm gonna be stuck in this little spot
Mm-hmm.
forever.
Yep. Yep.
You know, Saule, that's interesting. Saule says, I don't like riding on large airplanes. I do want to learn to fly small airplanes, though. And actually, you reminded me, I have been on a plane, I think in 2007.
Okay.
And it was just a little one because I had a friend. You remember Larry? Larry Collins?
Oh yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And he was a pilot.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a little tiny plane, and so he's like, let's go on a plane ride. I'm like, okay. And so we go to this airfield, out in the middle of nowhere, and get in his plane. And it was a really loud small plane, and so we had to have the headphones with the microphone thing, and all that stuff. And we got in there and we flew around, and it was great, like flying around this little tiny little plane all over northern Michigan, just
Really?
seeing, yeah, because I mean, it's just gorgeous. And we got lakes, and the big lake, and everything. And yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Uh, my wife and I got to take a really small plane out to Maine and back from Michigan, and I think it was Michigan. I can't remember. Anyways, it was awesome. It was like it was such a different experience to a big plane. You got to see out the window. You get to feel like you were close, like you could see things in a completely different way, and I preferred it. It was really nice. It was very loud, but it was really nice.
Mm,
Um,
hmm.
it was really cool.
Yeah, those little planes are loud,
Well,
but
they're
yeah,
very loud.
engines are right there.
Yeah, you can't get away from
I
them.
think planes in general are really loud, but
Yes, they are.
like the bigger ones, the bigger jets, they've got better sound insulation stuff. And like the engines are farther away from the seating usually. And you're a little bit more isolated, I think, in there. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was awesome. It was really pleasant. It was exciting. It was fun. I really liked this. So nice. But
Hmm.
and it felt nice too. Like, like like a big airplane, you experience turbulence, and
Hmm.
it feels like a little unsettling. Not that you think that you're gonna crash, but just because of the way that it feels. Like, but
Mm.
when you're in a small plane and you experience turbulence, which you're going to even more so, way more turbulence than
Yes.
a small plane, way
Yes.
more. Um,
Hmm.
but the turbulence feels totally different, and it feels
Yeah.
like there's more control, even though it's way more turbulent. It feels like you have, like there's more control over the frame of the plane, and yeah, it feels better. Weird.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing like the feeling, when you're riding a plane. It's so great. Like one of my favorite moments of, a plane ride is you're going down the runway and you can feel yourself going faster and faster and faster. And you're like back in your seat. And it's like, and then as soon as those wheels leave the ground and everything is just like fluffy.
Yeah.
Like because you can feel that you're on the ground still, and like the wheels are shaking, everything, and then all of a sudden as soon as you lift off and you kind of dip a little bit, it seems like you get off the
Yeah.
ground and it's like you dip slightly, but you're like, and then you're just floating and you're
Yeah.
going up. That moment right there, I love that moment
That is
because
cool.
it's like, now I'm off the ground.
Uh-huh.
This is my natural habitat. I'm supposed to be a bird.
I was supposed to be a bird or a pterodactyl or something.
A
Yeah.
pterodactyl with a P.
With a pterodactyl.
Yes.
Um. Oh yeah, I bet that's true, Tyler. Yeah, the big airlines have a lot of money spent on both inside and outside. Little airplanes have their money making them fly out at all. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I really want though? I want a sky bike. At least they
Things are
used to be
awesome.
called a sky bike, but it's like a powered parachute
Yeah, yeah,
basically. So it's
yeah.
like this little frame thing with a big fan on it, and there's a parachute above you.
What's that
And so
called?
like
There's another there. Yeah, there's a different name. Anyways, yeah.
I've heard powered parachute and I've heard sky bike. Those are the
Okay.
two different terms that I've used for that. I want one of those so bad. You don't need a pilot's license,
Yeah.
you know.
You do
And I was
need.
like, "Oh, that would be so cool to just like fly around."
Bless you. You do need some sort of license depending on the area.
True. That makes sense. And you got to be cognizant of, like air traffic, but you're not ever up high enough to be in the normal lanes of like commercial aircraft
That's
and stuff
right.
like that.
You do need a. Okay, that's
So,
what it is. If you want to go up the higher you want to go up, you need a different license. And if you want to go up past the clouds, you need a license for
ah,
but I think I could be wrong. Anyone can fact check this and get the right information, but it's something. Um, but yeah, it's that is so cool. I saw videos of this guy. He would just take his go and he'd record himself, and he'd like literally, it was so awesome. He'd like fly and then land in a McDonald's and then like go get his McDonald's and come back to his little vehicle. Basically, it looked like seriously, his machine looked like one of those big fans that you can buy, and then strapped to it is like a little seat and then a parachute, and he's just flying around with this thing. It was so awesome. And then he'd take off from McDonald's and go to the next place, and then he can go back home. It was really cool. I was like, I can't believe this guy is able to do this. This is so awesome. This is where we could have been, man. Come on, get with
yeah,
it, government.
I know. I know. Those things are horrifying, Baka says. I,
Yeah.
I understand if you've not flown and if you have, some kind of
Paragliding.
trepidation when it comes to flying or whatever, I can understand how that would be horrifying. It looks like fun to me though, man. I'll tell you that. And was it so parasailing behind a boat always looked like it'd be fun, where they strap a parachute on you and drag you behind a boat.
Mm-hmm.
Kiteboarding always looked like fun,
Yep.
you know, just because I don't know, being up in the air just is fun to me, I
Roller
guess.
coasters are
I don't know.
fun.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Paraglider.
Ah,
Oh, they have different rules. Yeah. Yeah. That makes. Okay. You know what? I just realized we should do a topic. It's already. I have not been on the ball today. I'm usually better than this. Here we are, 30 minutes in. We haven't done a single topic. Sorry about that. Well, we only have one
we have
topic.
a single topic, so we're
We
gonna
have
do
one
this single
topic to do.
topic, and Saule is here. So Saule, it's your topic.
Yeah,
We can do it because
that's
you
right.
want to be here.
That's right. So we should do this before Sally has to go. He did mention that he's gonna die. So let's give it a shot. Hopefully Sally can listen to it. Otherwise, you can always listen to it off. And hopefully will be recorded and not in what's that slideshow. There we go. So hopefully it'll be recorded but not as a slideshow.
Slideshow Bob.
Awesome. Great. Okay. Hey Sawale, we're gonna do your topic. So this is from Sawale and it's titled Rhythm. Right? I pronounced it with the H. Rhythm. Um and let I'm gonna go ahead and throw it up on the screen for you all, and feel free to read along. Wish otherwise, with the audio coming from this topic and my voice. Please as follows:
Yes.
how important is good timekeeping? I've been playing music for probably 2 decades, but only in the last few months did I decide that I really wanted to learn how to play guitar well enough to compose/record my music. Haven't played the thing in close to a year before picking it up again around October/November. I started recording myself, hear how bad I am, and where I need to focus on improving. After the first couple weeks, the one major problem that keeps coming up and seems like an annoying one to solve is my inability to keep an even pace. Now, on the surface, this seems obvious. You need to be able to keep time, or the pieces of the song won't fit together properly. But then I made a recording of a 4-bar rhythm so that I could play along to it. Play along to it. Hold on. Okay, so that I could play along to it.
And
Practice
soloing.
Okay, and practice soloing. Okay, that makes sense. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I played the 4-bar 3 times through, and then found that the best time to loop. Okay. Cut it together and recorded a solo over it. Then, when I wanted to clean it up, I figured that it was about 72 BPM, except that it was missing a few beats by the end. So it starts and ends on a beat, but in the middle it goes faster and then slows down. The solo that I played seems to match this, and it all fits together. But the whole thing speeds up and slows down 9 times throughout the song, since I repeated the same 4 bars 9 times. Is this a problem? Since getting better at time management is important, are there any other ways that you recommend practicing to improve this other than just playing with a metronome? From Saule. Thank you, Saule. Hey, no problem. I was having struggles reading for some reason, so I assumed it was me. So I was pretty focused down. Your typos are great. Happened to us all. So yeah, inflammation is making it hard to read. Yes. And think. So yeah, no, this is a really great topic. Thank you so much for this, Saule. And I'm actually excited to see what Joe has to say about this, because Joe has, and he's known to be really good at rhythm. Sometimes you don't know why you're good at something, and you just kind of are. And other times you know that you're good at it because you practiced a lot. I'm sure Joe has a lot of different methods, more than one, that you can practice with. I'm sure he has found some others. So, being good at rhythm guitar, as Joe is, and what you're trying to get better at, as well as a large part of his career, rhythm and drums, that it would be most wise for me to just hand it over. So I'm gonna give it over to Joe, and excited to see what he's say.
Okay. I appreciate you saying that, Ryan. I always feel like I'm not that great at it. I always feel like I need to be better at it. And, it's something that I've taken great lengths to get good at.
Hmm.
Triplets are killing you.
Ooh.
I understand, man. It's crazy because, I mean, when I grew up as a musician, I was a percussionist. And so rhythm was always important and timing was always important. And so it was one of those things. w- I never, I think I always, I did have a pretty decent, um, I had a pretty decent, uh, feel for time and for rhythm when I was growing up, mainly because what I would do is I would play a recording, something of songs that I liked. This is how I learned how to play drum set, actually, was I would find bands that I liked to listen to, and I would put a tape or a CD or whatever it was that I had access to at the time, and I'd put headphones on, and I would just play along with those recordings. And the recordings are generally pretty consistent. They're more consistent now than they used to be. Um, sometimes you run into weird stuff with older recordings. But anymore, I think most of the time live bands will play with a click track. And not only that, like in professionally produced stuff, the drum part you hear a lot of times is, a few bars of what the drummer played and then cut and repeated, over and over and over again. Like, and then, and then a different measure for a fill and then a different measure for whatever, right? But like the main beat is, a lot of times the same thing, just over and over and over again. And that's just how they do things now. And but I remember that's when I played drum set, I would play along with recordings. Those had a very well controlled beat and time system to them. And so it just was kind of natural for me to feel that rhythm and to feel that timing. I still would have trouble with speeding up, and I still do that even now because we're human. And so we're not robots, right? So it's crazy, but it's so like you say in here, other ways that you recommend practicing to improve this other than just playing with a metronome. And honestly, the playing with a metronome is the foundation. If you're playing a guitar part and you're just playing a solo guitar part and, trying to figure that out, whatever, trying to clean things up as you're practicing, yes, play with a metronome. I remember when I first started feeling like I needed to get really good at this, I started doing some studio work, and I was in college, and I was in the percussion ensemble in college and, all that. And I learned that the metronome was going to be my best friend. And it was just a grind, hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours playing with a metronome, practicing different things and always having a metronome going. When I record now, I always have a click going when I record the first rhythm guitar part, because that's the order of operations. I record a guitar part, and that gives me the structure of the song, so I know where the song is going. And then after I get that one guitar part recorded, I will listen to that guitar part while I play the drums. And for both of those, I have the click going in the DAW, which most DAWs, I don't know what DAW you're using to record, but most of them have a click that you can turn on and then set for whatever BPM you want, and then have that going throughout the song. It sometimes takes some trial and error to figure out the proper BPM, beats per minute, of the song. So I will sit there and I'll play along. I'll set it for a number, and then I'll play along for a little bit, and I'll see how it feels. And do I feel like I'm being rushed? Do I feel like I'm, being dragged? And so that'll help me determine, the fine tuning of where I want the BPM to be. And then I'll just set it and I'll record those two parts. Once I have a drum part though, I turn the click off and I play just with the drum part. So every other track I record after that, which would be bass, and I redo the rhythm guitar usually. Sometimes I have an acceptable enough performance on the original rhythm guitar part to keep it, but most of the time I end up deleting it and redoing it along with the drum part. So then the drums set the foundation for when I'm recording the song. And at that point, I no longer need the metronome. It's kind of boring to hear doot 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 all the time, all the time, and it's just like, oh. And then, so I understand. And it's weird because the louder your instrument is, the more piercing that click needs to be so you can hear it, you know?
I've
So
literally made my own click tracks in songs.
oh, really?
At some points, yeah, I'm like this. Yeah, I have to make my own little click track sounds here. I'm gonna write it in.
Mhm. Yep, that's true. Um, but you also program your drum parts,
Yes, I do.
right? And those are always quantized, and so then you have that option. You're using the most basic free version of Audacity. I don't know if Audacity has a click. I would assume somewhere it's in there, right? Um, so, uh, depending on you might be able to find some free. I think GarageBand is free. You might need to do some exploring. However, you can make this a little bit more fun and more palatable if you can find, something where you can just program a basic drum beat, you know, where you have a kick drum and a snare drum and, like, uh, and, basic hi-hat, whatnot, and create just some kind of drum pattern that you can then set on repeat while you practice, and so then you have a drum part playing, which is a lot more it's easier to listen to while you're playing guitar than, just that click track. Nyanse, you actually this your comment is how I did it.
That's great.
Play with the metronome so much that your mind becomes the metronome. And I played with a metronome so long, for years, years and years, for hours a day, and just played and played and played with a metronome until I got into a band and I saw the fruits of this, firsthand, where I was playing in this band and both members, their comment was always how reliable I was as a drummer. They're like, "Dude, you're like a clock. I can depend on you. I know exactly where the beat's gonna be. I know exactly where everything's gonna fall. You're so easy to follow." And that, so that told me that all that time I had spent paid off. And but even still, when I'm playing drums along with a click track, I will still migrate a little bit away from, the click and have to kind of rein myself back in, because I get excited and I'll be playing this part and I'm excited, or I play a fill that I'm thinking is going to be hard. It's weird because, like, the more tense we get, the more we tend to speed up. So when you get a little excited or you get a little bit nervous about this part that's coming up that might be a little bit harder to play, you might tend to speed up. Uh, and I usually slow down if I'm bored.
All right.
But, um, okay. Uh, yeah, if you can find a click track on Audacity, I would definitely use that. Right now you've been using a normal old metronome with an earbud in your left ear.
Okay.
That works too. And, but that's really the way to do it. There's no shortcut to getting better at this. Just like learning an instrument in and of itself. There's really no shortcut. A lot of people are like, "Oh man, how'd you get so good? I could never be that good." I'm like, "Yes, you could. You just got to put in the time. There's no shortcut to this." So then it becomes like this thing where it's like, "Oh man, you've been playing drums for 35 years." It's like, "Yeah, or 37 years." Or it's getting up close to 40 years, right, that I've been playing drums for. And so now I can sit down and just play and it's fine. But there's no substitute for just sitting down and playing your instrument, or standing up and playing your instrument, but just focusing in and playing your instrument consistently. You don't have to do it, for hours and hours and hours a day, but I would say block out, a half an hour a day and play with a metronome. If you find it to be cumbersome, then I would take that same principle. I would say, okay, if you're going to play for a couple hours, then 30 minutes of that time span, play with a metronome. and then you don't have to the rest of the time. That's only if you're finding playing with a metronome being cumbersome and annoying and whatnot, right? But at least get a little bit of that time, just some section of the time that you're playing along with a metronome. You can just start to internalize that rhythm. You can start to relax and know, and you can learn how to trust yourself that you're going to be on time and or close to it, so you're not migrating and losing beats like you said. Because I've definitely been there before too. I've been in jam sessions before where we were recording and we set a click track because we were like, yeah, we want it to be at this BPM, and then all of a sudden, you know how like the downbeat is always a different pitch on the click than the other beats, right? And so like I know I'm supposed to be like I'm playing and I'm on beat 1, but I'm actually on beat 4
Yeah.
because I sped up and I lost a beat somewhere in there, right? And I've had that happen so many times I can't even count. But yeah. Oh, Sole says, I remember years ago when I was in a string ensemble on violin, remembering Jay Leno's advice. If you think you're going slow, slow down. That tended to help me in the group. Interesting. Um, yeah, I think there's a lot of truth in that because if you think you're going slow, you're
Yeah.
probably like pushing it. And you feel like you're going, if oh man, I'm going too slow, but you're actually starting to push the beat a little bit more. But yeah, that that's some pretty helpful advice. It's weird how reverse psychology comes into play sometimes and things are actually like backwards from what we think. But Saule, I the baseline for how to do this is yes, play with a metronome. I know that sounds boring and cumbersome probably, and it might seem like an insurmountable task because it just takes time. There's not a shortcut to proficiency in this. It just takes time and practice and consistency, just like a lot of things in life, and then you start to create this habit, and after a while, it's second nature to you, and you'll see the improvement. And then it gets really encouraging and you can feel a little bit proud of yourself. You're like, yeah, I remember how bad I used to be at this. And now I'm actually pretty good. So you can do that. But playing with a metronome is like the main thing to do. The other thing is you can do like what I did with when I was learning how to play drums. If you go to Songster, I think is what it's called, you can get chord progressions for songs. And so then you can learn other songs you like, and I would find songs that you like from bands that you like and find their chord progressions. I use Songster. I know there's a bunch of other ones, but you can get guitar tablatures and chord progression, like chord sheets and stuff like that. So then you know how to play these things, and then just play it along with the recording. So my son and I do this. My oldest son is a musician and he plays a little bit of guitar and he plays bass and he's a percussionist in school. Kids like taking after me, and it's pretty cool dad moment, right? But that's what we'll do. We'll set up my computer, we'll plug in headphones together, and we'll pull up the chord chart or the bass tabs or whatever it is on Songster, and I'll have that on one screen, and then we'll play the song on Spotify and, just play along with the song. And it's a fun way because you're playing songs that you like to listen to, so it doesn't seem as boring, and you're learning and you're growing and coming up with stuff that sounds pretty cool. So those are my basic recommendations. Play with a metronome and then find songs you like and learn them and then play along with them on Spotify or YouTube or whatever you use to listen to music. Um, and you do that and you just do that consistently. I'd say do it every day, but we don't always have time to do stuff every day. So, but as long as you do it, a few times a week, you're going to see yourself grow, and it won't take long. It won't take long to see marked improvement. And when you see that marked improvement, it's going to encourage you to continue. And you're going to be like, "Oh, I am better at this now than I was 2 weeks ago." Uh, and it kind of empowers you, and it helps you want to continue and move forward. Um, the other thing I would say is once you feel like you've got it figured out, keep going, because you never have anything all figured out. And you can always get better. But yeah. Oh wow. So okay, so Lily's got more in the chat here. What I've been doing is playing a rhythm part with a metronome until I can do it several times through in one go before I actually record while still listening to the metronome. It's one of the harder things because I'm not really seeing any improvement as I do it. Granted, 2 months is not a very long time when it's a time scale of years. True. Oh yeah, I've been playing the Moody Blues with my dad. He plays the rhythm parts and I play the lead bass on guitar parts. But I'm following his pace. Gotcha. Um, yeah,
Awesome.
that's great. When you play with other musicians as well, then you guys can lock into each other a little bit better. It's it's a little bit easier to maintain rhythm at that point. And I would say especially if you have a drummer, and the drummer is, has a pretty good sense of time, that'll be helpful too. But I don't know. Those are the suggestions I have, and then just keep at it, man. Just keep at it, you know, and you'll see yourself grow. I promise. I promise you'll see growth in yourself if you maintain kind of a consistent practice schedule and, do this consistently. You will see improvement, and it'll be encouraging to you. So, I don't know. That's basically what I got. So, I'm going to turn it back over to Ryan. And Ryan has a lot of experience as a musician too.
Yeah, I do.
He grew up in band programs and writing just incredible music that you all know and love, I'm sure. Uh, and I mean, I know and love it. I'm
There you go.
I'm Static P's biggest fan.
Oh, thank you.
If any of you think that you're Static P's biggest fan, you're welcome to come over and I'll fight you.
Wow. Dang.
Not really. I'm not gonna
The
do that.
true
I
biggest Sedipy fan would know that I don't want you to hurt each other, though. But I will allow fights.
Okay.
Yeah. Sparring, that's cool. That's cool.
We're gonna spar. I'll spar you.
Yeah. All right. No, that's great. Honestly, I think you've said so much, and all of it is worth saying. I don't want to add or detract from any. I don't want to detract from anything by adding more to it. I think you're right. It's yeah, Sally, that's right. Practice, practice, practice. Something very I want to say very little, but I'll do my best to say anything at all because Joe really covered it well. Have you ever been like at church or something, and they start playing a song and this is too slow,
Mm-hmm.
or this is too fast? They're playing the
Yes.
song wrong. It doesn't have the right feel, right?
Mm-hmm.
That happens to me all the time, all the time. But a song needs to have a certain feel, and to have that feel, it needs a specific tempo.
Mm.
It is true. Tempo does supply a bit of the way that the song feels. If you played, like "Fly Me to the Moon" by Frank Sinatra at a different tempo, it might no longer feel like a romance song. And it might feel like a totally different kind of song, right? Fly me to the moon, let me in on the stars. Like it's that's an upbeat song. Okay, it's totally different, right? And that's an extreme example because that's way faster. But you get the idea. You've probably been at a church or something where they played it just a little bit too slow or a little bit too fast from your taste. That's right there. If you ever experienced that, that is a how do I say? That is the notion of you already have rhythm to some degree. You're already, your mind is already capable of understanding or figuring out rhythm, at least, right? Like that is evidence. There you go. It's evidence of your mind being able to um, have rhythm and understand when things are wrong, right? And
Mhm.
I think obviously it's another thing for you to notice when it's happening during the song, and that will come as you practice. I was talking about that. You know, at certain points you may be like, "Oh, I just sped up. Like that beat was like one 135th faster than it was meant to come in." You know, it was a microsecond off, and I felt it. You know,
Uh-huh.
and you feel those. I remember I worked on literally this was it. I worked on adjusting vocals for so long one time that I started to be able to tell the difference between like 2 cents off and I could
Mm.
tell you, like I could hear it, and I'm like, that's 2 cents off, and I'm like, let me fix that, you know. And then sometimes I'd be like, wait a minute, the MIDI is wrong because that is like 3 cents off, and there's no way I could like that one is on and that one is off, like, but that was because I was in it, right? And I was manually working with just slightly adjusting things over and over and over all day long for days, right? And you develop the skill of being able to tell. It's like it's not the same as pitch perfect because people who have pitch like to be able to hear a note and be like that's a G and that's an E and
Right.
so on and so forth. I can't necessarily do that, but I can hear a song and be like, okay, they started that sounded weird to me. It was like normally the song starts a little bit higher, but I don't have pitch perfect in that sense. But I have context pitch perfect, where if I hear a note and I go, okay, if that's G, then this other person is singing and they're 13-ish, right? And I can't really give you the exact number, but I can tell you that they're off, right? And I can tell you how, and like in a program, which, you know, how far off they are. Um, but anyways, the idea is, you know, if you practice enough, of course you're gonna get it. And you really have to just kind of or dive in, you know, swim in it, like be fully focused and absorbed in the process, and pay attention and do it for a long time. And that's kind of what it takes. You know, I remember when I was a kid. This one's weird. When I was a kid, I used to work a lot with hex colors. I'm sure you know what those are, but for those who don't, that's just computer, what the computer calls colors. So it's like F F F F F F, that's white. 0 0 0 0 0 0, that's black. Okay, and then you have every color in between.
Mhm.
And I used to work with them so much for like it was like a probably like a 6 month period I was working with these that I would be able to look at a color and be like, that's like FF3905. And then we'd check it and I'd be like literally only like a couple digits off. And it's like, dang, that's crazy. Because that's my mind translating color into a computer's form of understanding color, and then like delivering that out. It's a really weird that our brains can learn these things and recognize these patterns, and it can, and that is amazing. And so what I'm saying is basically just to inspire you that you can get this, and there's no reason, like your brain will find the patterns. At some point, you're going to be able to, like, you know, like I remember a lot of times band directors, they would get up there and they've got to have a really good understanding of tempo because they're directing the band, they're the ones setting the tempo, and they would say, you know, the tempo would be 120, you know, and they'd be like, okay, 120 is like this, guys, and then they do it and they direct it, and if you found a metronome, it'd be like, wow, this guy's like spot on, that is 120, you know? It's like, how'd he do that? I don't know. He doesn't have a metronome. He's just making it up, and he's saying this is what 120 is. He does the direction, and you're like, yeah, that is 120. And then you're like, all right, now 60, and he'll do 60. Well, that's half of 120. But like it's like 90 or something really weird, like like 74, and they do it, and you're like, that's spectacular. But that's their profession. Their profession is literally get the whole band in rhythm, and then direct them. The other hand telling them like, hey, you guys pull back, you guys increase. But I don't know what a band director does to study tempo other than just listening and applying themselves to music. Pretty much every band director I've ever seen or known played an instrument. And so, of course that helps, being engaged in participating. So when you're participating with the tempo, you're actually learning. So I think a metronome is probably one of the best ways to go. I like the suggestions, making your own little beat or finding a beat that you like that is on tempo, and yet it's just a different version of a metronome, rather than bump, 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 bump. You can go bump, ka, da, bump, ka, bump, ka, da, bump, ka, and you're like, okay, that's my tempo, and that's I don't really have too much to add. I think the last thing I can think of is to over time, or not even over time, but to work into your practice time, to work in patterns. And what I mean is, if you've got your metronome, find something that is also playing along with your metronome. So sometimes I see this a lot on YouTube or whatever. You've got people who are, so it'll be like, instead of, okay, it'd be like, like a lot of people are doing it with drumsticks and so on, but you could do it with your guitar. And it's like, it's requesting you to play a specific pattern. So you might have to find your own way to do this or find a program that does this, but basically it goes like, okay, play this rhythm, 1, 2, 1, E, 2, and you're like, okay, I'll try to do that. And then I'll play along with it. And you're going to basically just be practicing that same beat in that pattern. So you have a beat with a specific pattern, and hopefully over time, the different variations of patterns will no longer throw you off tempo. Because there's a chance that what's causing you to lose tempo is these weird patterns that you're not used to. You said it specifically, you've got triplets, So if you have one metronome that's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you've got another thing that's triplet, 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 triplet. You can play the guitar, go 1, 2, triplet, 1, 2, triplet, 1, 2. Like play those rhythms. Is all I'm trying to say. Is really just bunker down on playing specific patterns until you feel like you can get them every time. That way, when patterns crop up, your brain knows instinctively how to play it, and it won't throw you off tempo because your brain has associated it, like brain has come to comfortable with those patterns. So I would say practice patterns, practice rhythms, practice those kinds of things, that so much so that it's come second nature. Like, like in anything, becomes second nature of like, oh yeah, this pattern just goes like this, play it, and without even thinking about it, because then the tempo won't get derailed by you having to think about the pattern that you're, right? I hope that makes sense. I had a hard time describing it, but I hope that I made my message clear. That would be the only thing I could recommend practicing. Practice those different rhythm patterns, and many times feel really comfortable with them, and you're nailing them on tempo every time. And then move on to a different pattern, and then move on to a different pattern, move on to a different pattern. Because as you do that, you're not only just practicing keeping on tempo, but you're also practicing different patterns while in the context, which should help you become more comfortable with them and not cause you to lose tempo, and also better at tempo in different contexts. So I think it's good to have different contexts with different tempos, and that will help you build a better foundation and a higher tower, if you will, of comfort. Things that feel natural. Especially, like you said, you've got a problem with triplets. I would say literally go get, like, just use 2 metronomes and calculate it out. You know how math works. And have one that plays one tempo and one that's playing the triplet. And
Yep.
yeah, you could do that. And then
yeah, so you just do the triplet tempo is going to be your original times 3.
Yeah, times 3. Yeah, exactly. And then that would be simple enough. And then you just play the triplet while listening to the tempo. And then, so maybe what you could do is you could have 2 metronomes, one playing the 4-beat, one playing 3 notes in that same the triplet, that same time frame. And then you play just the 4 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, triplet, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, right? You go back and forth between them. I did the triplet wrong, but it doesn't matter. But yeah, I did.
You did a triplet over 2 beats.
Yeah, I did. Okay, so anyways,
triplet 3.
Yeah. So anyways, you go back and forth. You listen to them both, and then you just play one, and then you play the other. Play one, you play the other. You go back and forth, and you just try to keep that tempo. You go and you keep on playing those different patterns, and back and forth, just the 4-beat pattern, the 4-beat, the pattern, the 4-beat, the pattern. Just keep doing that over and over until your mind feels like you don't even have to think about it anymore. Triplets are second nature, at least in this context. And then maybe speed the tempo up, try that. Slow the tempo down, try that. Until you feel like I could play this at any tempo and it feels comfortable and I get it and my brain understands it now really well, and I can play a triplet in a song now very comfortably anywhere. Obviously, yeah, there are so many different kinds of rhythms you can play out there, but that's an example. So that would be what I recommend in terms of practice. That's the only thing I really would add to what everything Joe said, is just practice and recognize that you're already on the journey. You're already doing well.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and I understand why triplets would be hard on a guitar, because it can be weird, as if you're used to all of your downbeats being on a downstroke. Yeah. When you do a triplet, the downbeat's going to be on an upstroke, and so it's going to be different unless you somehow, so it can cause tension. It can cause you to overthink a little bit and get too much in your mind.
Yeah.
And it's tough. Like when you're playing music, it's almost like if you're stuck in your head too much, it's like you're not as expressive. And so that's why practice is so important in my, in my experience and in my opinion, because as you better learn your instrument, as you get better and better and challenge yourself in some of these things, there are I'm sure there's all kinds of educational stuff out there that you can get your hands on that can help you grow and learn different things, learn different patterns, learn all kinds of stuff. There's so much available to us. You might even also consider some lessons. I mean, they cost money, but they can be really worth it, because they might help you, find different ways to position your hands, different ways to think about things. So then as you play and the more you practice, the more you learn to trust in your own abilities. And then you don't have to think about it as much. And then the music can just flow out of you because you're not thinking about it anymore.
Yeah,
you're just feeling it and letting it flow. And to me, the more I'm stuck in my head when I'm performing something and not just feeling it and flowing with it, it's not as good of a performance. It feels more rigid.
Mm-hmm.
It feels, like even if I'm focused on keeping with the time, and that's what I'm thinking about all the time, as you know, when I'm thinking about it so much, I inevitably get off time.
It happens when I sing. We're recording music. Yeah.
Sure.
But like I'll be
Yep.
like I'll sing it just fine, and then I press the record button, and then I sing it wrong. And I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? And it's because I'm so focused on making sure I get it perfect that I can't get it perfect because I'm so focused on like in my head. I'm not actually just doing it.
Right.
I'm trying to pay attention
Right.
to so many little things all at once instead of just
Right.
doing the things naturally.
Yep. And so your brain can take over, and it's kind of your enemy at
Mm-hmm.
that point. You know, we always talk about how it's good to be able to think rationally and have your head in the right place. But man, when you're recording or when you're performing music, you almost want to let go of your brain
Mm-hmm.
and just let yourself flow with the emotion and with everything. But what's required in order to be able to do that and not think about it so much is just practice so much that you trust your own abilities so much that you know, okay, I can just sit here, I can pick up my instrument, I can play it, and then I can let go and just play. And that's gonna come. That's gonna come over time. The more you practice triplets, the more you practice, and Ryan was saying exactly what I say to myself when I think of triplets, which is triplet.
Mm-hmm.
If I've got 1, 2, 3, triplet, 1, 2, 3, triplet,
Yeah. The faster the
and
triplet, the easier it
because
is.
because
We're gonna be honest.
triplets, sure, um, but you just think in terms of, there are 3 syllables in the word triplet, the way we
Yeah.
say it, even though the way it's written and the way it's probably normally said is only 2, triplet,
Mm-hmm. I
right?
say
But
triplet.
we'll say triplet.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were always other things too, like in percussion, we started getting into doing a lot of fives, fivelets, you
I don't know
know,
what that.
and that's hippopotamus.
Oh, that's great. That's fun.
So you just think in terms of that, and then when you get to sevens, that's a whole different ball. I don't know, it gets crazy, but those are just some little tricks you can do, and the more you practice, the better you'll get at it. The more you'll just be able to feel it, get outside of your own mind, and then you don't have to think about it so much, um, and you'll just be there. So buckle in and know that it's going to take you time. Have a little bit of grace with yourself and understand that you can be patient with yourself. There's a lot of, you know, it's frustrating because we want to be good at something right away. But this, like anything, takes time and consistent and choosing to do things in the way that you want to. But that's the path, and you choose to stay on the path until you get there. Quintupoletto.
I
Quintupoletto.
like that. I like that a lot. That's great.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know, music
One
is such a
quintuple
cool thing.
one quintuple 3, 4. One quintuple. That's kind of fun. One quintuple 3, 4. One hippopotamus 3. That's fun. That's fun. Hippopotamus is a little easier to say. I'm gonna be honest.
Yep. I don't know. I'm proud of you, Soleil. I appreciate you asking this
Mm-hmm.
question.
Yeah.
And you know,
Practice is hard work, so we're proud of you for doing that.
including us on your journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. This has been really fun. Well, it's obviously music is a good time for Joe and I. We've delved into it, and neither of us are perfect at it. Neither of us can keep a beat with absolute perfection. So,
Uh-huh.
yet we still appreciate that you came to us. There are many things you can do to practice. I would say there are times where you need to think outside the box and come up with practice, and there are times where you just need to bunker down and do the boring old what you need. And both are useful. And I'd say do both if you it's interesting. You know, I'm not a music coach, so it's a whole different deal. But I've come up with interesting ways to practice myself that are a little bit more fun or interesting or useful for one specific context. Um, that I find, yeah, that are great. But sometimes, like I said, you just gotta hunker down and do the boring old. Okay, this is what I'm doing for the next. Gonna do this one thing. It's gonna be boring, but I gotta get my practice in. And as
It's
an
a grind,
adult,
man.
yeah, it is. And as an adult, you feel like you have less time, because you've got a work schedule and you got things. But I think the reality is you got whatever time you got, and you can find 15 minutes to put in every day. That makes a difference. But if you can put in more than that, that's even bigger. When I was, in high school, obviously, they want to practice every hour every day. In cases 2 hours every day. That's a amount to put in now for me. Wow, 2 hours put into that. But I realized, like, yeah, I could do that if I dedicated myself to that, whatever it is, do that, and it's doable. So it's awesome that you're on that journey, and we're proud of you, and I'm impressed. At least.
Yes,
keep it up, man.
Me too.
It's not easy, but it's so fun and worth it because as you master it, you become capable of more, and it becomes more enjoyable and less frustrating. Like you don't feel like you're in the way of what you want to do. Suddenly you can do the things that you strength in performing the want to. Awesome. Yeah.
Thanks for the topic, Saleh. I appreciate that you asked us that. Adults work and housework. Yeah, that's true. Yep. You got to maintain your living space and you got to maintain your checking book.
Big deal.
Yep. It's not that easy. However, we do have free time.
If you
It's
don't,
just a
you gotta
matter of
make
finding it and right.
Yeah. So we don't really have any other topics past this point. So if you feel like you have something that you want to talk about for the remaining minutes or so.
We do have a new topic.
Oh, we do.
Yep. I can process it real quick if you keep everybody entertained.
That's amazing because I just looked. Literally 5 minutes ago. Okay, that makes sense. Awesome. Well then I will entertain for several minutes.
Entertain them.
Go ahead and do that.
Guys, talk amongst yourselves.
Did you guys know bats literally sleep upside down? Oh wait, you learned that as a child? What do you mean? Wow, I think everybody knows that one. I wonder if there are facts that everybody knows. Bats sleep upside down. I guess if you don't know what a bat is, then there's quite a lot of bats out here. I don't really get to see any bats in Michigan. I don't really see a bat in Michigan. I've seen bats in Colorado and here in Australia, but so they're pretty cool. I don't know why people are afraid of them, but yeah. Thank you, Saleh. Yes, we are not professionals. The information we give is not a substitute for professional advice. We're just trying to give back, support you, and our support. If you'd like to send us your concern, type it out or on our website at https://www.com. Thank you. Smiley face. Beautifully said. Saleh, you put an equals parenthesis for your smiley face. Have you always done that since childhood, or did you learn that from me? I don't mean to sound like I'm the original. I'm not the original. Someone else before me was doing equals smiley face. But yeah, Did you know that we breathe air? So do bats. That's pretty good, Saule. Yeah, we breathe air. Pretty important one. You know, yeah. That reminds me of when I was a kid. I had an argument with and as an adult, I learned that I was right, but it was annoying at the time. You know, I've probably said this before, but I was in I think I was like fourth or fifth. Teacher was talking about what are the basic needs of being a human. Like, what are your basic needs in order for survival? And they were like food, water, oxygen. And I was like, yeah, sounds good. You know, these are great. You know, shelter. And I was like, what do you mean by shelter? You know? And they're like, you know, you need like a roof over your head and so on. That is not a need. You don't need that to survive. They're like, well, yeah, you do, because the weather's going to hit you and you're going to die from like cold or from the heat and sun and so on and so forth. And I'm like, that's kind of different. And no, don't. Like, there are people who live in the streets. There are people who have lived without shelter for thousands of years. I don't know what you're talking about. Doesn't make any sense. But one thing that is interesting is one of the needs that we as human beings need that no one ever mentions, and at least where I was from, is atmosphere. Without atmosphere, because we need atmosphere to hold us together. That's why when you go to space, you just die, right? Because you don't have atmosphere. Atmosphere does a lot for us, keeping our pressure systems working. Without atmosphere, our blood doesn't flow right, and it go crazy. Yeah, so that was really interesting. And I wonder why they don't. Another thing that they teach in school that I thought was even more ridiculous. The sun is a giant ball of gas. And that just, I'm like, come on, guys. Why even teach that if it doesn't make sense to a kid? Like, when you're a kid and you hear the sun is a giant ball of gas and you're like, oh, okay. What does that even mean? You know, like, they say that instead of deciding to teach you, hey, the sun is a giant ball of plasma, you'd be like just as confused. You don't know what that means. And then they could at least say, hey, like, use this as an experiment. Like, hey, let me light this candle up for you. You see that flame? That's called plasma. That's the same as the sun. And no, the sun isn't a giant flame. It's not a giant ball of fire, but it is this glowy stuff we call plasma. A lightning bolt? Also plasma. And they'd be like, it's a state of matter. Like, they could have said it and it could have gone over our heads just as much as the sun is a giant ball of gas would go over our heads. So, like, I don't see why so many people were taught that the sun is a giant ball of gas. It's so weird. Yeah, we need pressure, but not too much. Yes, Saule. Not too much.
Yep.
Yeah.
The topic is curated.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for enjoying my rant. And now I can do a topic.
Oh, Lucent, are you here?
Yeah, Lucent.
Because it says that you want to be here. For this topic. So we'd like to make sure you're still here.
I thought Lucent left like right at the beginning, but what's this? Oh, Lucent. No.
Yeah.
Be really great.
The sun literally makes heavy metals. The sun is a heavy metal artist.
Hey, Lucent, that's great. There's probably at least a billion things.
Lucent?
Yeah. Is it? Oh, wait. Yeah, I say it could be Lucent.
It could be Lucent or Lucent.
Yeah, Lucent or Lucent. Which is it? I've always said. Why? There's no I there.
Or maybe it's both. Or maybe it doesn't matter. Like.
They're like, it's neither of those. What you guys are saying it weird. It's Lucent. Lucent? That's a Lucent?
Yeah.
Don't you guys see the letter U? What do you find?
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
Oh no, yeah, no, you're fine.
I wouldn't be surprised if your stream was behind a little bit. You know, that's totally okay. If you look, like, I routinely click the little live button to turn the little live button red in the corner next to the pause in the in the volume button, there's like a live button. And I will routinely do that just to make sure it's still live because it lags behind even under normal circumstances when it's
Yes.
not buffering every 25 seconds, um, or 2 seconds or whatever that is going on. Um,
Yeah.
so that's something you can do. But all right, I'm glad you're here so we can do your
Yes.
topic.
Yeah, I appreciate the response. And I'm looking forward to see what you've got for us, and hopefully we can do it justice. I'll get right on with it. This is from Lucent, and I'm going to go ahead and put it on screen. You can feel free to read along with us. Follows. Setting goals. Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't give you the name of the title. The title is Setting Goals, or Goal Setting rather. Anyways, it reads as follows. Setting goals, short and long. Recently, I had to go through some self-reflection and set a pretty big goal for myself. After doing so, I was curious how other people go about setting goals. Do you set many goals, or sorry, do you set many small goals to achieve over shorter periods of time? Or do you set one very long-term goal to achieve over years? Personally, I have always been a very long-term goal person. I can set a goal that will take almost a decade and be able to easily achieve that for myself. However, where I seriously fall short is in the years following those. I tend to live aimlessly and honestly, quite slothfully afterwards until something comes along that I can work toward again. I said the word wrong, slothfully. I have to correct myself because that word is pronounced sloth, not sloth. Sloth is an animal. Sloth is
know, but
I know. Everybody says, and then what if someone was on the other side going, what an idiot, So I have to fix it. Sorry. Slothfully afterwards until something comes along that I can work towards again. I also see this attitude reflected in short-term goals. If something is achieved in the short term, I can almost guarantee that I won't do it. I'm curious how others feel about this topic, how they set goals for themselves, and if anyone else has a similar experience to my own after achieving their. From Lucent. Thank you. Thank you. This is a great topic. Very good topic. Thank you so much. Definitely one I think probably all of us can comment on. I think we've all been in the process of setting goals, failing goals, achieving goals, the aftermath. Maybe a lot of times we don't necessarily pay attention to ourselves afterwards or whatever, to our behaviors. I think it's great that you're paying enough attention to yourself to recognize there's slothful behavior after a goal. I think that's something worth keeping note of and something worth addressing, I suppose. But I think more important is the topic itself and how we relate to it. I think that's really interesting. Sometimes it is just interesting to hear how other people go through this because a lot of times we find that as we learn about how other people do things, we can adapt some ourselves and look at things and operate a little more smoothly from the wisdom that they have to share. So this is a great topic. Thank you so much, Lucent. And I'm looking forward to seeing whatever is going to come out. I'm also interested in seeing what Chad has to say. It is something neat. Again, worth hearing others out on because can change our own minds in the way that we sort of think. So, but with all that said, I'm gonna give it over to Joe, who has a track record, a very big one of setting, and going through the ropes and the ups and the downs, the roller coaster that it is doing that. I'm excited to see what you got to share. I'll get out of his way and. Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it, Joe.
Yeah, get out of my way.
All right.
I'm just kidding. Okay. So the answer to this question, I love so you asked, do you set very long-term goal or do you set many small goals to achieve over shorter periods of time or do you set one very long-term goal to achieve over years? The answer is yes.
Yes, both.
Because I do both. And also, if I've had a similar experience of that, going forward slothfully after achieving a goal. The answer is yes. I've done that many times. It's crazy because, um, I heard a guy say, you don't ever wanna hit a goal without having another one set if you wanna keep moving forward, right? Because we all tend to do that. You hit a goal, you celebrate, you're like, "Yeah, this is great, I did it." And then
Mhm.
you stop.
Yeah, then you celebrate too much or something, and then you get addicted to things.
Mhm.
And you got a bad habit because you're like, I celebrated for 15 days, and now all I can do is keep.
Right. Right, exactly.
It can
So this is
happen.
great. So Neonsai says, "I have overarching life goals, decade goals, yearly goals, and monthly goals." Great. That yes, I would I kind of fall under the same category. I have long-term goals that I'm gonna hit over the course of, hopefully like 10 years, like I wanna have this accomplished within the next 10 years. And then I kinda try and reverse engineer it a little bit where it's like, okay, what's it gonna take? Where am I gonna have to be as far as progress is concerned? Where am I gonna have to be in 5 years? And then where am I gonna have to be in a year? And then where am I gonna have to be in a month in order to get that to happen 10 years down the road? And so I'll set big long-term goals and then try and figure out what I need to accomplish in order to get that, and then set goals for those individual accomplishments along the way. Because a lot of times a long-term goal can be kind of complicated and it can take a lot of tasks in there to make that happen. And so there's a lot of different things you might have to do and accomplish along the way. So those that can be kind of a schedule of goals. You don't have to get all crazy, and like overthink things and whatnot. It's a lot of times we just figure out this is where I want to be in 10 years. What's it going to take to get there? Right. And it sounds to me like you're really good at this, that you're really good at setting a long term goal and then just getting into the grind and working toward it. A lot of times I will have to set shorter term goals in order to think, okay, now I'm X percentage of the way there or whatever, right? Like I'm halfway there now, or I'm a quarter of the way there now because I got this far, right? And then you can so there's lots of different things that you can do. One habit that I used to have that I've kind of gotten out of and that I feel like I need to start up again is so I have these long-term goals and then I have shorter term goals of where I want to be, in a month or in a week or whatever, right? And then I used to like at the end of every day or the beginning of every day, either or, I would write down, okay, what are the 5 things I need to accomplish today in order to move forward to that? Or even like 3 things or even just 1 thing. What do I need to accomplish today to move toward this goal that I have or this dream that I have, whatever, right? Because you can amaze yourself at how productive you can be if you're focused. And if you're not focused, it can amaze you how unproductive you can be, right? So it's like, all right, I want to accomplish this thing. I want to finish this thing. All right, where do I need to be? What do I need to do in order to get there? And so then you can come up with a task list. But I don't like to be too overwhelming for myself. So I kind of limit it at 5 in a day, you know? And then a lot of times I can accomplish those 5 things in a couple hours. And then the rest of the day is just kind of filler work, or doing things I want to do or whatever that is, right? Um, so there's this huge project that we're working on right now. We're doing a remodel of like basically half a house. And this thing has been like such a huge project and only 2 of us are really working on it. And it's like it's so big. It's like and there's so many different aspects to a remodel. And especially one that was this invasive. Because Ryan, you remember years ago, we started this project and then took a few years off, and then now we're back in it again. But like we had to do foundation work, which means we had to get a get a jackhammer and jackhammer up a bunch of concrete.
Wow.
And then after we jackhammered all that concrete out of the way, we had to dig down to where the ground was solid and not just sand. And in this particular area, that trench was like 4 feet deep, at least. I remember being stuck in this little trench, and like there's concrete on either side of me. I couldn't turn around in here because it was so close together. And I'm down there with a shovel, digging in the dirt, and just down in this little area. And it was so crazy and claustrophobic and ridiculous. But that's just one aspect of this whole remodel, right? And that was kind of the beginning. We had to figure out foundational stuff, then we had to have concrete come and pour it into this place and, like get it all leveled out. And then we could start putting supports on there and, cuz we're doing all this crazy stuff in here. Then it's like, all right, once we get that done, now we can build some walls. Now we can like work on some roof structure stuff. And then now the framing is in place and we can run electrical to all the different areas. And, then there's plumbing involved and there's, heat and cooling and all that stuff involved. And then, there's going to be in floor heating. So there's all this plumbing that needs to go into the floor. And like, it's nuts how many aspects of this project there are. And so we show up on a daily basis like, okay, well, what are we going to do today? And so then we'll kind of rack our brains for a little bit and be like, all right, well, let's do this, this, and this, and let's set a goal. We don't even say let's set a goal. We just say, okay, let's have this accomplished by the end of the day. And sometimes it takes a few hours, sometimes it takes like 12, right? But we're working at it. And so it's kind of become like this, it's kind of innate in our day that we're kind of setting goals on a daily basis to get us to a certain point so we can do things. And then you run into stuff like goals. This is the frustrating part about goal setting is life happens. And life gets in your way. And then you got to handle all these other little things. And then like something falls apart. And then it's like, oh, now it's getting cold. So we really got to figure out insulation. And so let's get this insulation. And so then we can get heat run to this part of the house. And it's just like sometimes things just pop up and it sets your whole thing off because now I have to focus on this other area instead of the area we were having momentum in and growing in and doing all this stuff. Right. So life gets in there and it can mess up your plans. If you set a goal and everything just goes smoothly, I'm so jealous because I don't think I've ever had that happen. Ever. I've always run into some weird little thing where then I got to handle a bunch of other stuff. And then, and then I can get back. And then what was I doing? Oh my gosh, I was doing this other thing. And then, so now it's a mess, it feels like, right? And then frustration comes in. Now I'm not as far as I want to be, but it's not my fault. I got to not blame myself because all these other things cropped up and then I got to do those things and and it's just this on and on and ongoing thing. But what's the point of goals? There's a very wise man, business philosopher by the name of Jim Rohn. I remember
Remember
hearing a
him.
quote from him. What's that?
I remember him.
Yeah. Uh, he said the purpose of setting goals is not to achieve the goal. Which I was like, that sounds weird, right? That got me listening because I'm like, oh, I feel like I set a goal because I want to accomplish something, right? Oh, you haven't tried lists before? It might try that out for a few months. Yeah, try it. See how it works with you. It might work great for you. Everybody's built a little bit differently. I like lists and I like checking things off and feeling like I'm accomplishing things, right? I want to do this, and as I'm checking them off, I'm getting more motivated. Right? It just is how it's how I operate, well. So, um, anyway, where was I? Oh, The point of setting goals is not to achieve the goal. The point of setting goals is to become the kind of person who runs after goals, who chases goals, right? Who chases accomplishments. The accomplishment is not the important part. The most important part is the self-development that happens as you run after these things. Because then you get into this habit of accomplishment. You get into a habit of finishing, which the world is full of incredible starters, people who start things. But the real meat and potatoes comes in when you're finishing things. And that can be kind of daunting sometimes, especially when you feel like you're closer than you actually are. And you're like, oh, all we got to do is this, 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 and we'll be done with it in this amount of time. And I'm working in construction now. And construction always takes at least twice as long as you imagine in the beginning. And so you're like, okay, yep, we're going to have this done in 2 weeks. A month later, you're almost done. And it's frustrating to me. So I'm just like, I remember sitting there, I was talking to your brother, Ryan. I was like, okay, how long do you think it's going to take this? And he's like, I don't know. We'll probably be done in like 3 days. I'm like, okay, so 6 days. And he got like kind of offended.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. I'm like, no, I'm not trying to like put you down or anything. I'm
Yeah,
just saying that's the nature of what we're doing.
Yeah, it's like I'm not questioning your assessment. I know that every assessment is always 2 times faster than the reality.
Exactly.
Yeah, because
that's just how it is.
Yeah, that's the assessment if nothing went wrong, but everything always goes wrong, and it's nothing to do with your assessment.
Yes. Oh, this is interesting. I'm not a great starter, but I'm a great finisher, says Neonsai. I can relate with that to some point because sometimes it's hard to get yourself going. Right? It's crazy though, because once you're in it and you're moving, now it's easier to stay moving, right? Like the most difficult part is of starting any journey is starting. But if it's a long-term thing, now listen, oh, you definitely have more than your fair share of unfinished projects. Yes, me too. I can relate. Um, but you know, what was I gonna say? Um, when you first get going, it can feel really good, and then you're like, "Okay, now I'm moving forward and I have some momentum." And then you can get knocked off track, and then, then you have to start the whole thing back up again. So it's a lot easier if you can just somehow maintain the discipline to stay in motion. And that takes daily commitments because a lot of these things, like you're talking about goals that are over the course of 10 years, maybe. So how do you maintain the discipline to keep going on the same project or goal every day for 10 years? Or well, I would recommend taking some rest days in there, at least one per week. At least one day to just take off per week and not do anything. Because that'll keep you from getting burned out. Sometimes you might need a little bit more than that, depending on the intensity of things, depending on how hard you're working, stuff like that. You might need more than one. Because if all you do is work, you're gonna get burned out. I have experience with that too. But
And you might not even know you're burned out.
that's yeah.
Yeah. I've been there.
Everybody around you might be able to notice more than you can because you're all antsy and angry and like frustrated and like you're not really yourself these days. Like, what are you talking about?
Same as I've always been. Rough and wait a minute.
I'm angry. So I don't know. I'm proud of you that you can stick with something long term. Because for me, I can set long-term goals, but knowing myself, I need to have shorter term, checkpoints along the way to that. So then I can keep myself going, because if I look at something, "Oh, yeah, I'm gonna do this over the next 10 years," then I can be like, I don't have to really work on it now, blah, 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 because I got 10 years. I'm gonna do this over the next 10 years, right? But then it's like, I have to keep myself going with something shorter term. That's how I've learned that I operate, and I'm not the same as everybody else. So, I would recommend experimenting. Experiment with some different things, see what works great for you, but there's definitely a lot of different ways to approach this. And just because it's right for one person doesn't mean it's right for everybody. But I like to boil things down into daily tasks, you know, so then I know I'm keeping myself, somewhat on track. It's not always easy, but it's it's kind of simple. But simple is not always easy. So anyway, that's what I got. I'm turning it back over to Ryan. So he can riff on this for a while. So
Sure.
Ryan.
Yeah, I know this is a great answer, Joe. It's quite interesting. It's interesting how everybody operates a little bit differently. We all have different minds and different strategies to work with. And some of us have yet to discover what strategies work for us best, I think. And so it's an interesting road to go down to figure out what is the best solution, at least for you. I think it's one of those things that is a for you type of thing, that there isn't necessarily a best for everybody, because our brains do work quite different, even though they're very similar as well. Um, so this is a great topic. I I'm I think I'm quite a bit like you, Lucent. Um, I I'm not a goal person. Um, it's I'm not a goal setter. I am not a I'm not a goal. I'm not motivated by goals. Generally, at least the way that I would think of goals. Um, but I guess you could say that I have goals in the sense of, like, I have things I want to achieve, things I want to get done and present to the world, and so on. Um, and those things, all goals. Um, but and for most people, that'd be like, yeah, that's what it is, dude. But for me, it's just like, I don't use the vocabulary in my own head. I don't use concepts. Um, I think in general, the way I think about life is something like, um, I have the things I've set out to do, and I continue to do them until they're done. I don't like to set, I don't have goals associated with time, because time is aloof to me. It is not controllable, and my schedule is pretty open, but yet, I don't know how much I'm gonna get. So hard for me to even think about going, well, today I want to accomplish this. Instead, I'll say, today I want to work on this. And I probably won't get it done, or maybe I will. And sometimes I think, yeah, I should have had this done by now. Or, sometimes I might think, well, I wanted to finish that today, But I don't usually use the terms necessarily to say, like, this is my goal. Even though I suppose that is. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, usually for me, I kind of just work at what I'm working at, and whatever it requires of me, I try to do. I'm not someone who likes to be working on something and then all of a sudden have to work on something. I would rather do a mundane task over and over and over than try to start. But I'm becoming better and better at starting of doing things, less set in my way. But yeah, Lucien, I think I don't know how much you are feel that way too, but that's I think it comes with its advantages. It comes with advantages and disadvantages. I think for me, I don't live my life being motivated or planning out necessarily what I want to do in order to do. I think each day, if I can be, I've said this many times on the stream, try to keep the main thing the main thing. If I can keep the main thing the main thing, life is good. But what is the main thing, Because to me, life isn't necessarily about achievement is awesome. But there's a lot of different things you could achieve that aren't necessarily categorized as achievements. For example, maybe you see someone drop their pencil and you go out of your way to pick it up for someone. Most people wouldn't be like, that's a great achievement. But it is a form of achievement. What have you achieved? Done something good, right? And so for me, I do my best to try to keep the main thing the main thing. I could do a lot better at that. But as long as I'm keeping the main thing the main thing, the path will change, but I will be on the right path. So I expect goals to change throughout my life. I expect the paths that I have to take to get to those goals, or the things I want to do with my life. I expect those paths to change. I expect things to just kind of just like, I'm doing one thing for like a year, and then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, no, we're totally changing everything and we're going to do it this way. And I'm like, okay, well, here we go. And then I try not to fight that. I just try to go like, you know what? That's the new path. And sometimes paths change. And just being willing to be the best version of yourself on whatever that path change is, that to me is more important than path change, right? Being the best version of yourself is more important than the path change. And it will help you take that path change. So I would say for me, the main thing is trying to be an example of God's love in the world, be an example of love, to be to try to be a reflection of, radiate, right? These good things, good attributes. And if I can remember to keep that the main thing, doesn't even matter how my day really doesn't. I might have, quote, goals for that day, things I wanted to get done. But if I remember the main thing, I'm at peace. I've done the main thing that day. Doesn't mean an action necessarily, but it can be. But if I've done the main thing, not so hard to do, then it doesn't matter. It matters a lot less how I get to where I'm going, or even where I'm going. Because sometimes it's the mind frame that well, pretty much every time, it's the mind frame that decides where you're going, right? It's your frame of mind. It's what you desire. And sometimes what you desire in life is going to change. And so that's going to change your goals. Sometimes what you desire out of life and desire to become is going to set new goals, or realize that the goals you've set are off track for what you want to become or what you want to do. So for me, life, I try not to break things down into goals, and I try to just be a good person in every moment that I can remember to be my best person, to the best version of myself, which is the most godlike person I can. Not God as in like all powerful, almighty, bow down to me kind of thing. But godly in the sense of love. To desire best for others, desire the best for myself. To be a reflection of goodness and grace and peace, and patience and kindness, etc. And I don't always succeed at that. That in itself is a goal, and it's a daily goal. Not one that's set in time, but it's set every moment of everything that I do. And that is who I am. That is who I become. That is what decides my goals. Because who I am is what's going to make up what kind of goals I set, what kind of person I want to become, what kind of things I want to achieve. If I don't have that framework, that foundation of, well, this is who I want to be every moment of the day, if I don't have that, my goals in life could be something very villainous. Could be something just like, like a loose cannon. It could go in any direction. could be a good thing for people. It could be a bad thing for people. My goal could be revenge. My goal could be snuffing that person out that, whatever, did this, that, the other thing to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, like I said, I don't usually use the framework of word goals or goal setting. I don't usually write lists of things that I want to do. I don't really engage my mind in that sort of activity, but I recognize goals and desires are kind of synonymous. I have things I desire, things that I want to do. So I can recognize that a goal is kind of do, right? It's a thing you're setting out to do, you're committed to. It's not just a desire, because a desire might not be something you commit to. A goal is something that you desire and then work toward. You actively say, I am committed to doing this, and this is what I'm going to do. So that makes sense, right? I do have goals, but I just don't really think about that. Usually have something that I want to do. Yeah, a goal. Usually it's like a 10-year thing. Yeah. Just like you, Lucent. I mean, it took me almost 10 years to get Static P off the ground enough to actually have an income with it. That's like minimum wage. And then, and it, I'm working on a game right now, as you know, Lucent, and that's going to take like, especially since, there's other things in life that go on, and they need attention. And so, like, I have things that I want and goals that I want to achieve. I set my mind to them. I don't back down. I'm very, very, very direct, I think. I'm an assertive person, even though I'm a phlegmatic, which is like a weird mix. I'm not afraid to do what I believe is right, and I will try to stick on that road and apologize when I'm wrong. And so for me, who I am in every moment is way more important. So that's where my mind is at. And I recognize that that is what ultimately decides what kind of goals. And I'm not a person that tends to get motivated by... I mean, I do get motivated by things. Like, I get interested in things. I get asked the what ifs. I'm like, what if this? What if that? When I'm playing a game, it might interest me for a while to be like, I want to try to see if I can do this, And those things are forms of motivation. And so, yeah, but in terms of like wanting to achieve something during that day or I don't know. I feel like it's a lot less about motivation, a lot more about who I want to be. And so that kind of guides my hand. That's what motivates being that person, as opposed to getting something done. It's not necessarily like, oh, I've got this 10-year project of making a game because I want to be that's who I want to be. That is not an interest of mine, having a title. But the things that it can do interest me. And it's fascinating, and there's a lot of what ifs, and there's a lot of wonders, and there's a lot of, there's a lot of tiny little aspects of it that along the journey are motivating. But I'm not one to write a list. I'm not one to do exercises in this. Think about like, what do I want to do? How do I want to get there? And so on and so forth. I'll just take it as it comes. Okay, this is what I need to get done for this. This is the kind of thing I want to build here. This is what I want this to sound like if it's working on music. And then I'll just do it. I'll do it on the day that I think of it. That's pretty much my life. I do the thing I want to do on the day that I think of it. A lot of times. Or it's like, okay, I want to do that. I'm going to write that down so that when I'm done with this thing I'm doing right now, I can get to it. I'm very easygoing, on the fly kind of person. It's like whatever the task calls for me that day, or, maybe I'm planning out, things that are associated with it for the next week, and they might not come for 8 months. I don't care. I'm doing whatever I need to do. And so I'm a bit, I don't know. I'm not strict on this. maybe there's improvements that I could have in this field. But yeah, so uh, all I can do is explain to you my experience with it, with goal setting, and I know that it feels uh, it's weird. Maybe I don't know if anyone else relates to me, but I'm such a laid back person that the goal setting process, like, not part of it really, and just like, okay, um, there's a big task that I want to achieve, and I'll figure it out along the way. I'll do whatever happens. Like, it'll come to me along the way. I'm the kind of person that will go, like, I've learned that if I can improvise, I can move forward. You know, I remember the first time I had to make a call for ordering pizza, and it was terrifying. You know, but like picking up the phone, and I had to just trust my own improvisational skills. And I was like, I can do this. I can improvise. I pick up the phone. I'm like, hey, I've never ordered a pizza before. So, what do I do? And they're like, hey, no problem. I get this all the time. So, first, what kind of size pizza do you want? I know that you don't know what kind. So, how many people are you ordering for? And I'm like, oh, let me see, 3 people? And they're like, okay, cool. All right, you're going to want a medium? Or, nope, we're going to give you a large. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, okay. And then they're like, what kind of toppings do you want? So here are our toppings list. And I was like, okay, this is really easy. I just have to listen and answer, you know? But if I trust my improvisational skills, like, I can figure it out. I know I can figure out whatever comes to me, you know? And if I can't, there are other people who can, and I can rely on them. I can go to them for help, or I can look it up and learn, or I've got that, like, I can trust that whatever comes my way. So, kind of live my life a lot of times on the fly, and so I just not really in the goal setting mind frame to do that. I don't know. It's really weird. But it's not to say I don't have things I want to do. Not to say I don't have goals each day, but I just don't necessarily have my mind isn't processing them. My mind isn't using them to compel me forward, or analyzing the data and processing it. I just don't necessarily work in that format. It doesn't mean that I don't do it, that I'm not thinking, I think. So, weird answer, but that's my answer. So, if you got anything out of that, that's awesome. If you didn't, that's okay. But maybe we're quite alike. I don't know. You've said here, what you described is pretty similar to how I feel. Thanks for putting that into the words. That was something I don't think I did well in the prompt. Oh, yeah, no, it's fine. Okay, great. It sounds like we're really similar people. I relate a lot to what you've been saying. Okay, I figured you would. That's why I said in the beginning, I think we're pretty similar. But yeah, what I got, and I'm glad that you can understand what I was saying, because, yeah, I mean, I did my best to this weird thing that is the abstract of our brains and the way that we think, communicate is weird. To try to describe in terms what is going on when we've never really had to describe it before, but also just in general, our brains are hard to really speak about, like, what is going on there. So thanks for sitting through that. And yeah, I hope that at the very least, maybe you found some introspection through that, and that somehow insight. But if nonetheless, at least entertaining. But that's all I got. Joe, do you have anything else you want to add?
No, not really.
Okay.
I love how, we take different approaches to this stuff, and we still somehow, are able to get things done.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Just doing this topic, Lucen, I appreciate you so much for putting this in here, because it just reminds me of, what I look at everything I have on my plate right now, and there's so many things, and I just really need to zero in on some of this stuff and, you know, start to set some goals for myself, or else none of this stuff is gonna get done. It's crazy. I look at this, I can think of 4 people off the top of my head right now that have some kind of dream or goal for the year, and I'm somehow included in that.
Yeah,
Like,
I believe
I
that.
bear some responsibility for that. And so it's like, "Oh my gosh," and I sit there and I'm like, "I wanna help these people as much as I can. I wanna do these things that they wanna do, and I have to figure out a way to get organized with my time and with my life and with my thinking and everything, you know, and managing distractions and all that stuff because I don't know, it's wild because like my main goal for this year is one on personal growth and it's not going to show they're not going to be like visible results except for the person I am becoming, right? There's not going to be some kind of product. There's not going to be
Right.
some kind of, release. There's not going to be some kind of whatever. Like there's no income level stapled to this thing. It's all this psychological, mental, and emotional growth that I'm this process. That's basically like my main overarching goal for the year, if I'm being completely selfish, I guess. But there are all these other people that are like, okay, I want to do this. Joe, I need your help.
Mm.
And I'm like, okay, I want to help you. Right. So this is really good and inspiring for me because it's helping me it's reminding me that what I need to do right now is figure out with all these different things going on. All right, if we want to be there a year from now, these are the things that need to happen in order to make that happen. Right. And so then it's going to be a matter of carving out that time in my schedule in order to do all these things. Um, but yeah, I'm with you, Lucent. Like if I don't have a goal, I'll hit it with amazing accuracy, right? Like nothing.
Yeah, nothing with amazing accuracy. Yeah.
So, um, I'm proud of you guys. I'm really glad that you guys have found ways to work with yourselves and do these things. But I would encourage you, Lucent, if you find yourself being slothful or slothful, if whatever, however you want to pronounce
Whatever
it.
dialect you're using today. The right one or the wrong one. No, I'm kidding.
That's a really good thing to notice about yourself. And the temptation, if you're anything like me, I know now that you're a lot like Ryan, and that's good. If you're anything like me, it's really easy when you're in that, like aimless, kind of feeling kind of lazy or not moving in any direction or whatever. I would tend to beat myself up in those times.
Mm.
Like, I gotta get myself on track. Oh, whatever, and I'll be mad at myself, and that's not the appropriate response. The appropriate response is to just like, relax, take some deep breaths, and be like, okay, this is where I'm at. It's my responsibility, and I could sit here and beat myself up and depress myself, or I can kind of capture this mess and organize it and lay out some kind of plan in order to do this. Now, plans always change, like I talked about in what I was saying before. Like the world comes in and knocks you off track, and you got to handle all these kind of different things. Urgent emergencies come up, and you got to handle them. So there's all kinds of things. But so they always would say goals are set in stone, plans are written in sand. Right? Where it's like, all right,
Mm.
I'm planning this thing, but those plans might change. The goal remains the same. but the plans might change. And learning to be okay with that can be daunting, but it's also very important because life is just messy sometimes. And that's okay. It's just how it is. And we're all human. So I appreciate you bringing this topic to us. I really do. Because it helps me to talk about it. It helps me to remind myself, okay, so this is where I'm at. This is where I want to go. And how do I get there? And then I can kind of organize and capture my thoughts. And then I'm not just aimlessly being slothful, I guess. So, anyway, that's all I have.
Yeah, that was really great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Lucy. It's a really good topic. Again, everybody can relate to it from some angle, and I think everyone better. Well, we're all in
Mm.
this giant fish tank together, trying to victory. You know what that is? Sometimes we're just that lazy fish, just coasting along, going like, I don't know, is this the right direction? I don't, and other times we're swimming our hearts out, But I think either way, we've probably all been in one places. I think, I'm a very hard worker, but I also have a tendency unproductive behavior, right? Which is slothfulness. You can be a really hard worker and be slothful because you're working really hard at something that's not prudent, right? That's why prudence could be the opposite, because it's using your intellect and power and everything way that is useful, as opposed to slothfulness, which is using it in a way that's not. And it can even cause harm. But a lot of times we think of sloth as just and doing nothing with doing nothing with our talents, doing nothing with our activity. But really, you are doing something. A lot of times, most of the time, you are doing something because you're literally doing nothing. Most of the time, you are doing something, whether it being just entertaining yourself, or watching TikTok all day or something, shorts, YouTube shorts, whatever it is, playing a video game to no end, whatever it is, right? Yeah. Living every day out on the beach and just picking up rocks and like doing with it. There's you can do anything, and you're working hard at it because there's this activity, this thing you're doing, and your mind is preoccupied with it, even if it's brain rot. So, I think it's useful to think about that. Slothfulness can be that, can be working really hard, applying yourself to great lengths, but something that isn't necessarily well thought out, and which is why goal planning is so important. I think you've said it beautifully. You set a goal, it's long term, you work hard and you got it and you together, and as soon as you're done with it, you become slothful. Why? Because, well, now your hard work is at no aim. You're just working hard at who knows what, nothing used. And so, yeah, you need a goal. You need something to work toward, so that your efforts that you're applying, whether you're going to apply them either way. You're going to be active either way, and you're going to be using your brain either way. You're going to be using these gifts you have either way. To what end? And so that's why, yeah, prudence and taking time to discern. Discernment is incredibly super important, and that's part of the goal setting phase for most people. Goal setting is a form of discernment. You're figuring out like what to do with my time. I'd be chasing after. So yeah, it's quite natural. I think just once you're done with the thing, like, okay, where do I go now? And you go off in any direction without any clear focus on actually achieving anything worthwhile in your eyes. So yeah, that's the next product of worker. Someone who works really hard is actually going to be, in a way, more slothful than someone who work very hard, because they've got more gifts to throw at nothing than someone who has little gifts to throw at nothing. And so they can be orders of magnitudes more awful with their deeds. It's like people with a ton of money and a ton of power can do a lot more damage than someone who doesn't have very much influence or monetary capabilities. And so it's the same thing. You've got an incredible gift, which is your hard work mentality, achieve things that are 10 years span, focused on that. And then once that's gone, it's natural to be like, okay, I'm going to keep working hard, but who knows what app. And so you've got that talent you're using, but you're not using it directed towards worthwhile. So discernment is good. Figuring out your goal is really good. And so I think, as Joe said, and well, I guess it wasn't just Joe, it was Joe said it earlier. Anyways, you don't want to accomplish a goal without having a goal that would follow it up. So you always want something to go like, okay, once this goal is done, I've got this next thing to do. It doesn't have to be a 10-year thing. Let's see. It can be just like could be literally like a month thing, at least to hold you over, so that you aren't using this talent of having strong work ethic to the bitter end. That mind is worth applying yourself. So extra goals are good. Goals on top of them. Like having a goal that once done, this is the next step. Very useful. I think my wife and I both like things that accumulate. You invest, everything that you invest is ultimately to one end. And in the sense, like for Joe and I, that would be a great example is black setting. We might be doing many different things, but all of those things we ultimately hope and aim for the growth of black setting and swerve, and to whatever, which means that our efforts, there's basically no end to it, and so there's always something. But so having something like that is useful. But even within that, if you don't have an activity that you can apply yourself to, I think it's good. Anyways, all I was basically saying is, you've got a great mind, and you've kind of unpacked a lot of these things already in your head, it seems. That's awesome. Great job. A really important thing, because it is the thing that you're choosing to do with your time and choosing to do with your life. That means a lot. Things you do really make a difference, really change things. Life you're going to live and the life around you, far off you'll never even meet. So what you do matters. And so being slothful can cause a lot of harm that we're totally unaware of. That's really recognized. Discernment is.
Hey, Sparrow.
Hey, Sparrow.
Yeah, we've got beards.
How's yours? We've got beards. How's yours?
Till we grow beards, get weird, and disappear into the mountains. Nothing but clowns around here.
That sounds like an Eminem.
It is.
It sounds like it. I don't even listen to the guy. I don't listen to any of his songs.
I know, right? No. It's just like he's got that very distinct.
Yeah,
know?
Yeah. He has a very distinct.
And I said it, and you know how many rappers I listen to? Like very few.
Very few. Well, we are 24 minutes over anyways, so I think this would be a great time to close it down. But thank you again for the topic, Lucian. Insightful, useful to you. Remember, we aren't professional psychologists, psychiatrists, therapists, counselors, or anything along those lines. We're just people walking the life alongside you and sharing the wisdom and experiences. We hope we do our best to give our the best. Do you have anything you want to say to the peoples before we let them go?
Not really. Just that we love you guys, and thanks for being here And we look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you guys for being here. You're awesome, and we do love you. And we appreciate all the add into the chat, and whether they're funny or whether they're additive to the conversation. We just like seeing it. Like seeing you guys. And guys, this is a lot of times our favorite part of the week. So it's been a lovely time. Thank you for being here. Love you. Hope you have a lovely rest of your year, and the rest of your life. And we'll see you again next week.
All of it.
All of it.
Yes.
Every moment, even. Wow. A lot of moments. All right.
A lot of moments to make up a life.
That's true. Bye-bye.
Right. Bye, guys.